And we are live. Hi there, how you doing there, everybody? Bullseye Bob here. Welcome to Everything Comics, and welcome to the monthly comic review. This is where we get together every month with some of my favorite YouTubers, and we review our favorite comics of the month. And of course, this is one of those times where I just love having conversation with my good friends, and we kind of rotate on each other's channels when we do this. And it just so happens that this month it's on my channel. So I'm very, very excited for this. And so before I start acknowledging people in the chat, without further ado, I'm going to start bringing some gentlemen in that you all know. And the first one up is Bueller from Comics with Bueller. How you doing, my friend?
Hi, buddy. How are you today?
I'm doing well.
Let's get some of those super chats going. We need to pay for these chalupas.
I'm telling you, man. Did you eat any more today?
No, not today. I had a Subway sandwich. I ate enough chalupas on Tuesday for a while, so I'm good.
There you go. All right, well, I'm going to bring our next comic book commentator in, and that is Rockin' Robbie from Pop Culture Philosophers. How you doing, my brother?
Station, I am doing fantastic. So excited to be here chatting with you about this month's comics, the best comics of the month, even though I haven't read every single one of them, but happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, I mean, this is going to be one of those shows that may be a little piecemeal. Number one, we don't have Dylan here yet. Dylan may be a few minutes late, and so there's that. Second is that during the middle of this month, we've had, acts of God happen, and not all of us got our comic books until just recently. So we're dealing with that. And then for myself, normally I would prepare for a show like this, but with supply chain the way that it is, I literally just got off work and switched computers and just popped on. I didn't have any chance to prepare for tonight. So we'll see how this goes.
Just wing it, bro. I do it all the time. It's fine.
Absolutely. So before we start getting into our comics here, I just want to acknowledge some people that are in the chat really quick. We got Perry Comics here. How you doing, my friend? We got Travis M. Station. What's going on, buddy? We have ESG Comics. How's it going? And Stefan Link is in the house. Tony Sharp is here as well. We got Mr. Mike Knight. Thank you all for joining tonight. Really appreciate you being here. Let's see who else we got here in the chat. We got Mr. Fable Station. Which this side? There you go.
Either side, it doesn't matter.
Either side, doesn't matter. Mr. Shane Larson, friend of the show. How's it going, my friend? We got Ricardo Cabrera. How's it going, buddy? Always good to see you. Don Davis is in the house. We got, what is this? I or Jay? It's Jay. How's it going, Jay? Always good to see you. Joshua Brown. We got Lance H in the house. Travis, already mentioned him. We got Chamora Cinema. How you doing, my friend? And I think I've gotten everybody. So thank you all. We got Mr. Bruce Johannes. Haven't seen you for a while. Thanks for joining, my friend. And we got Steve White. How's it going, Steve? And but I just want to say thank you guys very much for joining tonight. We got superhero reviews here as well. Really appreciate y'all. And as you know, when we get into our comics, our conversation is going to flow. So we might not be focusing too much on the chat tonight. But I always go back through and read everybody's comments because, I mean, we get right into it.
Do you really?
Yeah, I do.
Wow.
That's a lot of fun.
Great.
Everybody makes fun of you. I mean, every single time. I love it. I just go back and watch it.
What the hell? It's already starting.
So here we go. I mean, this is the best comics of the month for the month of February. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start off with Bueller and ask you, what is your pick of the month, my friend?
Okay, so I actually just read this because I went today finally to my comic shop after 2 weeks. They didn't have their stuff as well. A lot of the books I got in advance and I read digitally, so I was okay with not picking them up, because of the storm and stuff. But this one I didn't have a chance to get a digital copy to read, so I just read it a few hours ago. But this is my pick of the month, Shadow Doctor. and man, I was so happy with this book. And let me just kind of give you a premise of this book. It's a true story, and I always like true story books. And what this is, it's about this black gentleman. He's actually it's generation. So the grandfather, he's telling his son this, or the grandfather. Hold on, it's a son, a dad, and a grandfather. So there's 3 generations. Okay, so the oldest one is the grandfather, and he's on his deathbed, and he's telling his son about what he did when he was younger and stuff, when he was a doctor, and he was part of like a gang or whatnot, and then they get attacked on the way. They're this is like in the 20s, and they were like running booze and stuff like that. And he decides he's going to go to school to become a doctor because he thinks this life isn't going to work out. So he goes to school for 8 years, becomes a doctor, and comes back, and he tries to go and become a actual doctor, like at a hospital and stuff. And no hospitals will have him because he's black. And then he tries to get a loan to start up his private practice. No bank will give him a loan to do a private practice. So he goes and he actually gets involved with some previous friends that he made, which happens to be like Al Capone and stuff like that. And that's where the story ends. Where the story ends on this book is where he's reintroduced to Al Capone, who he knew from 8 years ago. The thing about this book that hit me is the whole telling of the story. And I'm literally sitting there as like the child sitting there at his dad's deathbed, and his dad is confessing all this stuff, in real time and stuff. And that's kind of what the story is. And I just imagine being there and hearing what your dad is telling you, what he did when he was young. And like, it wasn't just some minor thing. It was literally, he was the mob doctor in the 20s and stuff like that. And this is a movie right here. This could easily be a movie. And man, I was blown away. I'm looking forward to issue 2, 3, 4, and 5. The fact that it is the true story, although it's great, it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, first of all, Robbie, have you had a chance to read this yet?
Yeah, I read this one. It came out last week, right? And this book was really freaking good. Aftershock's been doing some really good stuff lately.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, and they do card stock on their first issues. They're $5 though, but at least their first issues are card stock, so you're going to get if you're a spec, you can get a better grade, I guess. But you're right, this is something that would be great to be adapted into a movie or a TV series. Yeah. It's a really cool story. The fact that it's based on a true story is crazy. And Georges Jeanty, who spent years doing Buffy comics, this is some of the best artwork I've seen in his career. I was incredibly impressed with this book.
Yeah, absolutely. I was blown away. I read it last night, and I mean every page I was glued. The story was very compelling, and especially, I mean, right from the very beginning, it tells you that that this is a true story. And like with all Aftershock books, in the back of their book, they've got a lot of extras, which I really dig about. Especially their first issues. And immediately when I jumped to the back, I saw the family album. Yeah. With the interview. And as you're reading the book, you realize that the narration of the story is happening from the perspective of the father, while it's actually the son who's writing the comic book. And I thought that was so interesting to experience as we went along. It basically sets us up for where this is going to go. I love the fact that in the very beginning, they got this shipment that they got multiple trucks that they're taking. They're booze running, like you said. Tree is downed in the middle of the road. I mean, we've seen that in movies before. And as soon as they get out and realize that the tree's been cut down, that's when all the machine guns begin. Yeah. And true to form, back then they used to take out everybody. And here, homie's underneath the truck hiding, and just happens to be the only one that they let live. And
he befriends them. I mean,
yeah.
Which is that's kind of how he kind of gets connected, I think, a little bit, because that's the guy who like spares his life is the guy he goes back to 8 years later. And what I liked about it is too obviously the the stories being told by the grandfather who actually experienced this and stuff. He's on his deathbed. He's dying of cancer, and he's telling his son, and he's got a little bit of a attitude to him, because he's like, Dad, you're going to be okay. You're not dying. He goes, I'm a doctor. I know if I'm dying or not, And so I like just a little twinge in that and stuff. But it also makes you wonder, like, here the grandfather's telling his son, how long did it take before the son shared that with the writer of the book, the third generation and stuff? Did he share that right away with his child or whatnot? I'm hoping that maybe they address that as well, because they do that narrative sometime down the line so he can learn about his grandfather. But then there's also the note that he wrote to himself, because he says before the 8 years before when he's going to go and become a doctor, he said he wrote a note to his father, and then he wrote a note to himself, to make a difference in his life and stuff like that. When they share that note, I thought it was great. I was really blown away. I was very happy I picked this up. I almost didn't grab it today, but I saw it sitting there, and man, it definitely made an impression on me. Just a wonderful book.
It was nowhere on my radar, and I got it and I was like, oh, Shadow Doctor, sure. And you're right. And structurally it's similar a little bit to Mouse. And I think that's why there's even a mouse on the first page, if you even notice right there.
Yeah.
Because Mouse is the story of Art Spiegelman's dad telling him his experience in the Holocaust, right? Just a super cool book. And like you were talking about, that opening scene when like they ambush those dudes, like that was so perfectly paced and composed. Like it was just executed so well. This was just a joy to read all the way through.
Absolutely. And I think you're right. I was thinking the same thing as I was reading this. And also We Live #5. Aftershock is killing it right now. And I'm really, really excited to see, because there's a bunch of other stuff that they've solicited here recently. And I'm really excited to see what else they have in store for us. But this was an amazing first showing.
Bob, did you see that you got a super chat?
Yes, I'm going to address that in just a second here. So as Bueller just said, Jake, thank you, my friend. We just got a super chat. Appreciate you very much. Station. And I just want to say, Bueller, it looks like he wants you to slap the duck.
I've just been slapping my duck for a while.
Is that what you were doing?
Bueller's always slapping.
No, that's not what I was doing. I was doing something weirder.
Older guys, they sit in the saddle, they got to try to keep their balance. I thought that's what you were doing.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. That's a chalupa box right there, Bob. Congratulations.
Appreciate it very much. Thank you so much for the super chat. Always helps out, and it's much appreciated. And you can do if you guys want to send super chats to make Bueller do things, I'm all for it.
I like that idea. Man.
That's all you just whatever you want me to do, I'll do it.
Dance, Bueller, dance, monkey.
Awesome stuff.
Slap them cymbals.
So, Robbie, what is your pick of the month, my friend?
Well, I haven't read everything from this week, so I still haven't read things like Ice Cream Man or even Nuclear Family. So there's some things that, maybe this is going to be different. But as of now, it's The Picture of Everything Else, issue number 2 from Vault Comics, written by Dan Waters with artwork by Kishore Mohan, and Aditya Bidikar on the lettering. Y'all, this book is freaking awesome. Dan Waters can be a challenging writer, but this to me it's got a great flow. The basic premise is this. You remember the book, The Picture of Dorian Gray, right? Well, the guy who actually did the artwork to make The Picture of Dorian Gray, he's a serial killer, like in Paris or something. And he paints pictures of people, and then he could turn, just rip it in half, and some random person that he drew just gets ripped in half wherever they're at. Or he can burn the painting, and then this person bursts into flames, right? So he's a serial killer. But the story's focusing on these two art friends. They're artists, and one of them becomes fascinated with this dude and wants to learn how to do what he can do. And the other one's steering very far clear. Now, in the second issue, after all that setup, it kind of shows them some time has passed, and the one dude who's been basically the apprentice of this guy, he's starting to, I love the idea of that art can change reality, right? And so what's happening is he's drawing landscapes. So if this dude can draw people, rip up a painting and then rip up a person at the same time, if he can kill people by painting it, what happens when a landscape artist starts doing it? And it starts literally changing reality. And it's also got some great subtext there about the difference between art and criticism, and also their similarities, how criticism is a form of art. So y'all, we are artists here. The artwork is just beautiful. The colors on this book just are amazing. They got this wonderful watercolor. I mean, it feels like a painting, you know, the line work is solid. The lettering, it's Aditya Bidikar. We all know that he's the absolute best letterer in the industry. It gets twisted. It gets messed up. It's dark. It's about madness. And just the way that these characters, what they're going through, and like the ideas that are going through the dude's head, because there's a lot of like internal monologue, right? Freaking love this book. Dan Watters, to me, is a next level writer. This is a next level book. And to me, so far, not just the best book I've read this month, but my favorite cover of the month too. That is just dope. So
absolutely,
that's my pick of the month for now.
Nice. Bueller, did you get a chance to read this one?
No, I didn't get that one. I didn't even find it at the shop. I did get the first one. I got the first one based on Robbie's pick when it came out, and I really enjoyed it. And last week, that was your pick for last week, wasn't it? That book right there, Robbie?
Correct.
Yeah. So we showed it on the copy video on Monday, and I know that you got a copy of it, Bob. Did you read it?
Yeah, that's the one I was saying when we
Masterpiece.
His
Masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Sure. I was just blown away. I mean, the first one was amazing. I loved it. But this just went to the next level. It ramped up, and in such a way that I was just I was enamored with it. There's a thing that Aditya Bidikar is doing with the lettering, because this is done during the time period of the Bohemians, and so when you had this bourgeois way of talking, it was almost like a chess match when you go back and forth in conversation. And so when you see some of the word let me put it this way, the word panels, and you see these wavy lines here, that's that fluidity of that conversation that's going on. And when they don't want to converse that way and they get straight to the point, it's just a regular hook that you'd normally see. So he uses the word bubbles to effect in that understanding of how they talked back then, which was just great. And so I thought the artwork was surreal. I keep saying it. One of the things that really kind of has stuck with me is the vehicle that they're using to tell the story reminds me of Bram Stoker's Dracula, where you get letters going back and forth, you get conversation, you get this presentation that just isn't a story being laid out, but you're seeing it in different ways as it unfolds. And that's the way this is. And the emotion that is expressed inside of this book. There's a scene where the guy that became a critic, he's had a relationship with this other man, and during the course of him finding his old friend, he basically knows it's time for him to move on, and he writes him a letter to break up with him. And there's this 3-panel scene of him reading that letter. It's just shadow, and you can see the emotion of him hanging his head. It was so well done. I mean, I was emotionally hit by that and other things inside of the book. It again, I'll say it again. It's just dang near a masterpiece. The artwork was incredible. Yeah, there's one of the landscape paintings, and Dan Watters, his use of just the language itself is just amazing. Amazing.
Somebody asked the title of that book again.
The Picture of Everything Else by Vault Comics.
The Picture of Everything Else. There you go.
Yeah. It's so freaking good. It's like amazing. And just so like, and you're right, Dan Watters, his use of language. We were chatting last night about, talking to you about Coffin Bound. Mm-hmm. Like that's a book like that. Like it's all about like sex, drugs, and violence and like grit and it's a 70s grindhouse type thing, right? But it is written so beautifully and darkly poetically. Right? Like, and Dan Watters can do that. And he's just such a great writer. And what I love about this too is that, so the one guy, they're both artists, right? And then after finding out about this dude who did the picture of Dorian Gray, and the one guy becomes fascinated, he decides to give up art, right? Yeah. And now he's a critic. In fact, I love in the back on the solicitation, because it goes, Marcella's abandoned painting for the glamorous world of criticism. But they have that whole discussion because in the whole first issue, you build up this friendship, and they're talking about how they've always wanted to change the world through art. And now his friend, I think that's Alphonse, right? Or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's grasping this idea. And so he's taking the idea. I mean, the idea that you can kill somebody through a picture, that's cool and interesting. And most writers, that would be the end of the story. That would be like the hook. But I remember having Alex Packnadell on a stream, and he said, imagine if the guy who did the picture of Dorian Gray was a landscape painter. And I started realizing, I was like, you would change reality. And he's just, so that's starting to happen here. And it's just freaking amazing, this book. It's so beautiful.
Absolutely. Can't wait to get into the next one. The other thing about the guy that became the critic, he loved art so much when he was doing it. And after this whole event happened, he gets to a place in life where even doing art causes him pain. Yeah. And that, I mean, there's so many dynamics to this story. I can't wait to see where they go with it next. But Dan Watters is forever on my radar now. I mean, he's just an amazing writer for sure.
Yeah, he's a brilliant writer, and this is a great book. And by the way, Dylan said that go ahead and start without him. He'll try to be here.
Thank you, Dylan.
All right. Well, I hope he feels better. I hope that he does get to join us tonight. But I do want to mention that Rockshank gave us another super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. Station. And he says here also, here's to giving us the opportunity to watch Bob and Bueller read Canto to each other while eating chalupas, and Robbie for the best weekly picks. Station, my friend, that's awesome. Yeah, if you guys haven't watched Bueller's preview video, which dropped yesterday, we had a scene because he had roped me in.
When I said there was free food, you came running.
Hey, man, I'm telling the story, all right? And so I figured out a way to get Bueller to read Canto, and it was beautiful. It was awesome. I had so much fun doing that. Awesome stuff. Well,
can I say something really quick?
Sure.
So there was a comment left on that video, okay, and from this guy Jeremy, and he said, I don't know if it's. I mean, I laughed, but he said, I've been watching for a long time now, and this Chalupa segment was by far the best moment of comics with Bueller history. Let's hope it never ends. I laughed, but I was like, is that a bird as well? Is that what my legacy is?
You've taken over, man. We were streaming last night, and someone's like, how come you guys aren't eating chalupas? And we're like, that's Bueller's bit, the chalupa.
There you go.
Oh, man, we got to spread the chalupa love all the way around the world, man.
Well, apparently we don't have real chalupas down here, so we just go with Taco Supremes.
You do not.
It's okay. When we come out to a con in Alabama, we're going to bring some with us, man.
I'm not going to eat those. You bring us some. Yeah, we brought Taco Bell from Oregon.
There you go. So I just wanted to say that my pick of the month also was The Picture of Everything Else. And we've already talked about it. I absolutely loved it. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick another comic book that I thought was amazing. Just got done reading it last night. And I just want to let you guys know, full spoilers in this show. If you haven't read this comic book yet and you don't want to know about it, I would suggest tuning out for a few minutes. But that's We Live, number 5. Wow. I didn't see this one coming. I really didn't. I from the very beginning, I've loved this title. The way it's flowed, the pacing of it has just been absolutely, I've loved it. I love what the Miranda brothers are doing. I love the added effect of adding a music soundtrack to the storyline. That was really cool. But when we get to the end of this, of course, the crux of the story is mankind is on the verge of extinction, and they get a message basically from space that says that they'll take a number of children off of the planet. And so they send these bracelets down to put on these children, and these children have to be taken to these particular spots where they're going to be taken up. And so we follow the journey of a boy and his sister who are on their way to this. And of course, all kinds of stuff happens on the road, and they finally get there. And in this particular issue, we get to the end of it, and I'm thinking, based on issue number 4, we knew the brother and sister were going to be split up, and it was kind of the writing on the wall. I really felt that they were going to diverge in stories. I really felt that was going to start happening. But boy, how it's going to happen is what I was not expecting. So we get this scene with these interplanetary beings, just like a council. There's 12 of them, and they're making the decision on the fly for mankind. And so basically they come to a decision of this, I forget what they call it, but all these kids that are being brought up into the sky to be taken up, they were all disintegrating, basically, pretty much blowing up, except for a few that were turning black.
That sucks.
I know, right? I'm watching this. I'm like, they're killing them all. And but there's a select few of them. One of our main character among them, where all of a sudden he's turning black and he looks like he's in a cocoon. And then out from these cocoons pop these 5 cool-looking superheroes, and we find out that those 5 are now the hope of the Earth. And I was blown away by that. It struck a chord in me because back in the 90s, I had been writing a comic with an artist that had been on the indie title called The Sentinels, and these characters kind of looked like the characters that we created. So I was kind of geeking out over that. But really, in the end, you read the Miranda brothers had pitched Aftershock that they wanted to create a shared superhero universe. And so that's kind of what we're getting with this. We're going to get these characters. I forget what they call them. Remember what they call them, Robbie?
No, I don't.
The NORADs. NORADs.
The NORADs? Is that what they are?
I don't have my copy near me, so I don't.
They're called the Palladians. That's right.
That's close. That's close.
The era of the Palladians. And Aftershock, I guess the pitch was so good, Aftershock went for it. And I am excited to see where they're going to take this. I was blown away by it, totally surprised, and way on board. Did either one of you guys get to read this?
Yeah, I read it.
No, I didn't read it.
Okay, so
I don't want some child killing book.
you didn't know that till the end. For the last 5 years, this has been 5 months. This has been one of the most unexpected books out there. Like, it came out and it's been super strong every single issue. Amazing artwork, twisting the story. The way the story starts is not how each issue ends. Each issue completely turns everything around into a different way, right?
Right.
And then they do that with the ending here of season 1, and season 2 is coming. This is going to be unpopular because I know a lot of people in the Army and the Buellerites and the Bobheads. I know that they all love I don't know what you call your people.
My people. I call my people the people.
The people. But anyway, I did not like the ending of this book. Like, I was like, this whole thing is to lead into another superhero book.
Yeah.
Like, I loved how it was so original, doing something so different. And now maybe they'll take the idea, and the Miranda brothers have shown that they can do things unexpected. But now I'm just really I was really bummed out because I was just like, man, I thought we were going to have this great epic sci-fi thing, and maybe it still will be. But then I'm like, superheroes, like, there's a lot of superhero stuff out there. And I know a lot of people would like to see more superheroes over at the indies and create our own books. Radiant Black, just came out. Invincible's got the series coming out. So I get it. But like, I don't know. I was kind of disappointed because I thought that book had some really great concepts. And then just to be like, oh, superheroes, I was like, man.
Well, I mean, just to flesh out how I'm feeling about this, like I said, when I saw the characters, it brought this emotion up in me just because of the stuff that I had written back in the 90s. Yeah. But let's face it, I did mention this on my review video that I dropped last night. Number one, I know a lot of people out there are not going to be excited for these characters. I mean, they're not all that original. And the other thing is that the odds are stacked against just about any company trying to put a new superhero universe together. It's just so hard to do after all of what has been done. and we've seen it a bunch of times. I have the same react. I mean, I know a lot of people. This is going to be unpopular as well. I know a lot of people had a great reaction to Todd McFarlane's news, and I'm great to see it. But also at the same time, I'm like, you're going to expand the Spawn universe, and I mean, haven't you tried that already? And and I mean, I'd love it if it took off, but it just seems like here's another. And I mean, and we've seen this happen over and over. So I get what you're talking about, and I get what you're feeling. And I even said that there are people out there that probably will not be crazy about these new characters, but I'm going to give them a chance, and we'll see what happens.
Doesn't sound like you're giving it a chance.
I'm just saying the odds are stacked up against them, and we've already seen this before.
Well, I didn't like the mass slaughter of children as much as Bob did, so I didn't pick up this book.
You're the one that pushed everybody to something is killing the children, so I don't want to hear.
That's just a few children.
Just a few, like 25 or something. They named the numbers in the newest issue.
I did read issue 1 of We Live. I did enjoy it, but I actually didn't get it until like 3 months after it came out, and I'm still trying to go back and pick up this book. But honestly, from what you described, Bob, from the turn that they're doing, I don't know if I'm that interested in it anymore as much as I was more interested before, because I don't know if I want, I kind of agree with Robbie, I guess I'd say, but I might want to pick up the other 4 issues for 1 through 5. I think that's the first arc, right?
Yeah.
And just kind of stick with that. But, a lot of people really like this book. This has been a really popular book. And I think, like you said, it kind of came out of nowhere, and, Aftershock's been doing some really good stuff. And this is another one that's awesome.
Absolutely. And, for an indie company to take the chance of creating or allowing one of their creators to do a shared universe like they're talking about, it must have been one hell of a pitch, because these guys are not about, taking on a bunch of fat. They want to make money. And, when you have something that in the when you look at these things in the past and how most of them have not seen that, these companies know that, and so I like I said, it must have been one hell of a pitch. We'll see what they do with it.
Boom.
No, Aftershock.
What's that?
Ooh, I get it.
Ah, there you go. I finally got it.
What's an Aftershock?
Yeah. What's our next book on the list tonight?
Let's go ahead and stick with Aftershock. I got one last book to show for Aftershock, and I just read this one as well because I just picked it up. And Nuclear Family #1, just got it. I was really looking forward to it. I enjoyed this book, but it's really just set up. Really, there's not too much really going on in here. Really the title is pretty much what this book is. I mean, it's just you get introduced to the family a little bit, the father, the mother, the daughter, and the son. You see them right there. The one thing I do like about this, this is set in the 50s, and this is before the nuclear holocaust starts. So, normally when you get like apocalypse books, it's like afterwards and stuff, and they're living and stuff like that, in a different world. Where this starts, it's just like a normal day, and then the bombs start dropping, and then you go from there. So really, that's what this book is. It's like you're introduced to the family, the bombs start dropping, and they come out of their bunker or basement or whatnot, and they're like, what just happened? And that's pretty much issue 1. Full spoilers, sorry. But this, like I said, it's more just introduction to the family itself. But I did like it. Like Robbie said, the Aftershock do the thicker card stock for #1, so it's $4.99 issue. But I enjoy stuff like this. It kind of reminds me of Fallout. If you guys played Fallout 4, how it starts out and they run to the bunker and they get down in there and stuff when the bombs drop. That's exactly what this reminded me of, for this book. Even kind of has that style and kind of the 1950s lingo is his stuff. And so anyway, I think it was a good time. I'm definitely going to stick on this. I'll add it to my pull list. But not like a tremendous amount happens besides just the getting to know who they are. So, but issue 2 will probably just take off from there and kind of see what the aftermath is of after, all the bombs have dropped. So pretty cool. I enjoyed it. Sorry, Robbie. I know you haven't read it yet, buddy.
Oh, that's fine. I haven't read it yet, but I am becoming a big fan of Stephanie Phillips.
Yeah.
She wrote A Man Among Ye, which was a really great, fun pirate story.
Yeah.
And I hope that comes back for a second arc. She wrote the Future State Harley Quinn book, which was like the only Harley Quinn book I've read that I've enjoyed in years. So she's an up and comer, and she's a really, really talented writer. So I'm excited to check it out, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it so much. I'm excited for it now.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it wasn't like there's not too much to it. You know, Bob, did you read it?
I did.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's not like there's not a tremendous amount going on in the until the last couple pages. So it's very like, oh, hey, you know, what are you doing today? I'm going to work and selling a car and coming home. How's everyone doing today? And then what's that noise? Hey, something coming, and that's about it. So
yeah. So Stephanie Phillips also wrote another one of my favorite series from last year, also from Aftershock, was Artemis and the Assassin. Really enjoyed that story. I thought it was really well done. But inside of Nuclear Family, again, I'll parrot what Bueller's saying here on it. It's mostly all set up. You got a lot of dialogue from a family from the 50s. It does feel like Fallout. You know, that scene where they're going to the bunker. The only problem that I had with this book, and I'm not going to spoil it, there is a twist that happens at the end. And it's pretty subtle, and I think it was maybe supposed to be more effective or maybe more of a punch. And I didn't find that it was that much of a punch, and I was kind of confused by it. So I am kind of wondering where she's going to go with it next.
Yeah, I know what you're referring to. I get it.
Yeah, so I mean, it has kind of a supernatural feel to it, or science fiction-y.
I don't know about that, but I definitely saw at the end. You know, are you talking about when he's stepping outside?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you look at the scene before, the bomb hits and the house is blown, right?
Yeah. Is it his house or just the neighbor's house?
I mean, it's the same trimming on it.
Okay.
And then the next scene, as he's walking out of the house is not blown up, and so. You know, so that right there there's something going on right there. That's the twist. And what's happening there is what we're supposed to figure out. And that's what we're going to get next issue. So I'd really be interested to see what you think about it, Robbie. It was definitely a good read, but he's right. It's all set up.
Well, stay tuned for the weekly comic book review coming tomorrow early.
Trust me, I've been waiting for that damn video for like 4 days.
Yeah, me too, brother.
He had chalupas to hold him over until we got there.
It's been a week. I had messages this morning. I woke up and all these people were like, "Did you quit doing the weekly comic book review?"
People start jonesing when that thing is not there.
No, man. I appreciate it. I want to do it too. Trust me. This messes up my whole week.
I got a message from Jim on like Monday. He's like, "Hey, you still getting your Marvel books?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Hey."
Right on. All right, Robbie, take us into our next book, my friend.
I want to talk about one that came out this week that I have read because I really liked it. And it's Stray Dogs. So I got the cool homage to Silence of the Lambs right there. And they just showed like an issue 4 cover that's an homage to the film, the Bava film Demons. Come on, you know I love my Italian horror. This is described as The Secret Life of Pets meets Seven. Okay. Yeah. It's like Don Bluth doing like a psychological thriller or something. This was really freaking good. First of all, the artwork is really gorgeous. And
it's
100. What's that?
It's Disney artwork.
Well, it's like Don Bluth. So it's like, you know, all dogs go to heaven, right? It looks like that. And it's really cute. And the dogs are talking to each other and they all wind up living with this one dude. And it's about this new one, and I'm not trying to spoil too much, but this dog was witness to a murder, right? And now she's kind of dealing with this like post-trauma type thing while being introduced to this new household and family. But it was incredibly well done, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go. It definitely looks and feels like it's a made-for-kids animated movie or something. It's not made for kids. It really is. I mean, it's not like super gross or nothing, Bueller, but it's really freaking good. I had a lot of fun with this, and I felt so sorry for this puppy. Like, and you know us, we're all animal lovers here, so you guys are really gonna like this. I think if you like animals, there you go. But Stray Dogs #1, I thought was really, really cool. Secret Life of Pets meets Seven. I mean, that describes it pretty much exactly. So,
I mean, Seven is pretty much tantamount to almost a horror movie, not just a psychological thriller.
exactly. Yeah. I mean, psychological thrillers, I think, are just the 90s word of saying horror without making people think it's a Jason movie.
Yeah.
Another Jason movie.
Right.
Yeah, it's cool. And they're going to have all these cool like horror movie homages and stuff. And it was very well done because the character, like the dogs talk like dogs do. Like when she first shows up, they're like, new dog, new dog, new dog. Smells new. And this one's like, back up. Can't you see she's afraid? And just, them introducing like their life, like this is the sunroom. We call it the sunroom because it gets the most sun. It's just like, it's awesome.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
You didn't like it?
No.
You read it? You didn't like it? You didn't like this?
I don't care what a dog feels about dealing with,
I don't care what a dog feels.
dealing with the witnessing a murder.
If they were cats, how would you feel?
It's different. That'd be different.
A cat would be like, yeah, I don't care.
The cat's like, oh, let me know when you're done. And then make sure you fill my dish before you leave.
I really liked
it. I went through this book and just the artwork. I don't know. It just doesn't fit me, as far as like comic books. I mean, it is cartoon style, and that's what it is. It's a movie style. But seeing like that on still frames is a little different from seeing it in motion, I think. And I kind of have trouble connecting with books like that, to be honest. I thought the plot was interesting, but I didn't really care about the little doggy, to be honest, so.
See, but now the dogs are going to band together and like try to stop this evil, like, killer or whatever.
Yeah. It's been done before.
Yeah. Who cares? I like it. You're wrong.
101 Dalmatians. It's the same damn thing.
What's really crazy is that I hear that at the end of the series, they all become super dogs, like superheroes. Like the whole thing is to start a dog shared superhero universe.
Right. Oh my gosh.
Peanut butter.
I can't wait to read it. I just couldn't get. I mean, I tried to read as much as I could the day after I grabbed my comics last night, but that's just one I didn't get to yet. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. And it looks like we got another super chat from our good friend Eric Strubble from the Rogue Trader Station, my friend. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Of course, if you guys don't know Eric, he is the owner and proprietor of the Rogue Trader. They're a partner of the show. You can get your comic books cleaned and pressed by him, and he's got a lot of great comics on his website. That's the roguetraderutah.com. Go check him out, give him some love, and also check out his YouTube channel. He puts out some pretty cool content, and give him a subscribe and check him out. But Eric, thank you very much. Appreciate you, my friend. So next book on my list, there's a couple here I could talk about, but I really want to talk about this one because I really enjoyed reading this one today. Something is Killing the Children, number 15. And this is the last book before the break, y'all. Right? And
it's on hiatus till what, May?
May. Do you think it's still going to be called Something is Killing the Children? It's going to go to issue 17, or are they going to call it something different?
It's going to be called Something is Killing the Teenagers.
Is that right?
No, it's still Something is Killing the Children, I'm sure. I love this. This, by the way, is the front runner right now for pick of the week, but I haven't read everything. So
this was really well done. I mean, all the way through, this story has just been awesome. But this is a really fitting wrap up to this main story arc. From the town that they've been in this whole time. I mean, if I wanted to critique it and say that it tied up too quickly, I mean, maybe I could, but I think he tied it up neatly. What are you laughing at?
Scarpad.
The Rogue Trader. Something is killing the stray dogs. G-Bob, don't be so sensitive. You thought we were laughing at you?
I didn't know what you were laughing at. That's why I want to be in on the joke.
What's so funny? Do I look like a clown? What's going on?
You guys
got to deal with
without me? But again, Deladera's artwork is I just love it. It's so fitting for this particular tale. I love how they fleshed out some things again in this book that we didn't know before, that there was a difference between the white masks and the black masks, which I thought was really cool.
Do you get that the difference is like the white mask or cleanup? Is that kind of what I was picking up? Like black mask are like enforcers and they're like cleanup or something, maybe?
I think the way I took it was that there were different houses or different factions within the House of Slaughter, and each of them kind of like have a head of a family, and they're like families.
Yeah.
And so those families have multiple different because they basically flesh out the fact that she's the last of the black masks. And I don't think that they have nobody else to go out and clean up the towns. So these guys, I would imagine, have their own people that go out to towns to kill monsters as well.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of the way I took it. But definitely her, going to, I guess that old guy's the head of her order, right?
I think so. The gummy worm guy.
The gummy worm guy. And the conversation that they have on that bench, I just love that whole scene because we get a breaking off, we get a resolution by our girl on where she's going forward, and she's got her foot in the ground and she's doing it, man. So I really dug this issue.
I loved it. I thought it was great. It was fantastic, and I know last month, and it feels like we did last month's show like last week.
It does, doesn't
it? It does. But I remember we were talking about, doesn't it feel like the story's kind of dragging a little bit, like taking too long to get to a point?
Right.
No, I don't think so, because I think that's actually perfectly paced now, because it was the 3 arcs, 15 issues, and it told that one story, and it set up a complete gear shift in the story going forward. And I'm really, really excited to see where it goes. I thought that this was an amazing issue. The emotional moments were there. All the action was pretty much in the last one, but the aftermath, they show the effect that this has on Erica. I even love that moment when Erica's like, I'm going to keep doing this until I die, until it kills me. Like, she knows. Like, and by the way, spoilers, that's probably how this whole series is going to end. But I freaking loved it. I love her bond with James. I'm sure they're going to flesh that out a little bit more going forward. So I'm excited to see what's coming, because after our conversation last month, I'm really curious as to what Bueller thought about this.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I liked the ending when she's sitting there just talking with the boy for, a few pages, and the boy's just kind of emotional and stuff. He realizes that she's leaving, and he wants to go with her. He doesn't really know what to do. And I thought that was a really emotional scene. The simple fact that they agree with the guy, and I'm horrible with the character names besides Erica Slaughter, but the simple fact that the guy who came up with the idea says, I'll take the blame. I'll say I murdered the kids and stuff like that. And they agree to go with that plot. That's what, that literally saves all the people in the town, or at the gym, because the house decides, okay, we're going to go with that, and we're going to spare all these lives. I thought it was a stupid thing when he said it, but when you think about it, they're actually using that. And then, as you read this book, you realize that that's the story that they put forward, and the press is covering, like, hey, this guy admitted to killing all these children, and one of them was his sister, and all this stuff, and it's just horrifying. And so I was a little surprised that they went that route, but I did enjoy it. I do still think the story was really long. 15 issues to get to this. Bob even said they kind of wrapped it up really quick in this issue. And how do you wrap it up when last time we were talking about how this kind of seemed too long? It just seems like everything that they put together in this issue, they could have extended it into another issue and then made some of the other stuff over the last 15 issues that really didn't need to be there, for the meantime. I think this is more like a 10-issue series. To be totally honest, I think there's probably about five issues of filler stuff that you could weed out. You wouldn't even miss it one bit. But the next story arc is, if I'm not mistaken, it's her backstory. It's her origin story when she's a child, when she becomes this killer, or witnesses the monsters herself as a child, and she kind of gets involved with the House of Slaughter. I think that's where the next story arc takes place. So obviously you get the little kid at the end, I can't remember his name. He's not going to be there, So I mean, they're gonna all these, he wanted to go with her and stuff. He's not obviously not going to be there if it's her origin story for how many ever issues. So I don't know.
They're on the bus and she's telling it to him, and they'll frame it that way or
What
something.
a horrible thing to share with a little kid. Let me tell you about when I was younger. You thought you had it bad. Let me tell you about my
this kid's gone through some stuff, Bueller. He's not quite as innocent anymore, right? And he blames a lot of it on himself. We've learned throughout his story. I think that, have you read this since, or have you just read this issue to issue?
I just read issue to issue, yeah.
Yeah, this is something that I think really evens out the pacing when you read it, like in the trade or just all together. Like if you sat down and just read all 15 issues, which wouldn't take you very long, I think that it would even out in its pacing a little bit.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. When we were on issue 14, and we didn't know that 15 was going to be the last one, if you were to tell me, hey, 15 is the last one, I'd be like, no, it's not. Come on, they can't wrap it all up in one more issue. And they did. And that's exactly what we didn't know that when we were talking about 14 and how it was extending a year long, just drawn out. None of us knew that 15 was the last one until the brand new story arc months later. So for you to, for them to say, hey, we're going to take everything and wrap it up in 22 pages, and we're done for the 14 books prior, it was a little surprising, to be honest, So
I do remember mentioning it last month, saying, so far they've been 5-issue arcs, so it feels like that it's going to end next issue and we'll see where it goes. But it's fine. We didn't know, right?
Maybe you did.
Just really quick, guys, I just want to mention that my brother from another mother, Derek Magnus, have sent a super chat. Station, my friend. Appreciate you so much. Bueller, we are rolling in chalupas, my friend.
Yeah, chalupa.
That sounds nasty.
You want to see me and Bob roll around in the chalupas?
I don't know.
2,000 likes on the preview video, y'all. Come on.
I don't have Robbie's Joker clap video, but I do want to say thank you very much, my friend. Really appreciate that. And always good to have you here, Derek. But I agree with everything you're saying on Something is Killing the Children. I also caught something that I wasn't expecting either. And it's kind of the same thing they did inside of the John Wick movies. Whereas we find out that in the House of Slaughter, we have these families. But that old gummy worm dude, he mentioned that there are other houses. So there's a whole other underworld out there of people who do this type of thing that is going to be fleshed out. At least he's left it open to do that. And I thought that was pretty interesting. A lot of things inside of this that I wasn't expecting, that he just keeps raising my eyebrows, and I've loved it every bit of the way. But for this month, this right here was an amazing read, and I'm glad I got to read it before the show.
It makes me want to eat gummy worms.
Eat gummy worms with one of those samurai masks on, the way he does.
And isn't right? And isn't the artwork and the coloring, especially by Miguel Muerto, not just so freaking moody and atmospheric? It is great.
It is awesome. Absolutely.
And the way the reds pop, and the eyes right there. Oh my goodness. This book is beautiful.
Yeah, the way he does the artwork through the whole thing, when the reds come, and they always pop. It's really cool. Really cool. So that's my next book. Bueller, what's your next one, man? Take us into the next one.
Okay. We're going through all these books. I read so many books this month. Somebody in the chat said I don't read books. I read so many books. It's crazy. Let's go with Spawn, number 315.
Damn, I haven't read that yet.
Came out this week.
Oh, by the way, you were talking about Something is Killing the Children taking too long to tell a story. You like Spawn, right?
Come on, man. It's a stable. This is a stable of the comic pillar community.
We love Spawn, man.
Spawn 315. If you're looking for a great summer blockbuster action movie, that's what this issue is. It's pretty much a battle from start to finish. It's a battle between Omega Spawn, Medieval Spawn, regular Spawn, and the orange dude. I don't know what his name is, Orange Crush or whatever. And then the little Venom Spawn shows up at the end, whatever his name is. I can't remember. But it was fun. It was just a fun battle, between all these, and people just, getting hits in left and right and stuff like that. And you think they're down and they're out, and they come back and they fight them off and they come back. So just a fun issue, really great artwork, really quick read. It doesn't take long. It doesn't really set up anything, going forward. It's just a fight. If you're looking for a book with a nice fight, nice artwork, bright colors, which I like a lot. That's the one thing I said about Spawn, that it's really in the shadows and it's dark. For some reason, it's during the daytime. It's bright outside. The colors are vivid and stuff. So really enjoyed this book. So definitely Spawn 315. There was a bunch of different covers. Looks like Bob got them all as well. But very cool. I enjoyed it. I've enjoyed this story arc with the Omega Spawn character. I think it's pretty cool. He's like 4 stories tall, and he's just a massive Spawn character. And he's like he's almost like the Omega of Spawns. So, but he's pretty cool. So anyway, very cool book. That's one of my good picks. There you go.
I'm looking forward to reading it. I always have so much fun with Spawn.
Absolutely. I'm still a little bit behind in my Spawn reading, but there's only 2 books I get every cover of every month, and that's Spawn and Ice Cream Man. So
that's a weird stretch too, man, because Spawn, like Todd's like, how many covers this month?
and what he
are you going to still do that when there's 4 other Spawn books going on at the same time?
No,
I don't believe it. Let me tell you something about Bob.
I was horrified.
I was like, I don't mean I have to buy more books. Bob loves buying books. He buys more books than all of us put together. And Robbie, he works at a comic shop. He doesn't hold anything to Bob. Bob's just buying them left and right. He's like, oh, look, I bought this book, and then I bought 7 different variants from Frankie's Comics as well. So don't let Bob fool you, okay? Moneybags Bob is buying.
Oh.
Has Shannon Meir done a Spawn cover yet?
Nope.
He should.
He should.
He should do a She Spawn cover, right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, Bob.
Y'all let him know. Y'all let him know. And Bueller, I know you know Todd, so you let him know.
Yeah, every book.
But Shannon, I'm still holding out for that Shannon Daredevil cover. So, but now that we got Elektra as Daredevil, man, maybe that's even more of a reality.
It's more likely now, isn't it? Now that Daredevil's a woman.
Oh man, that would be awesome. Robbie,
I'd buy that one. I'd buy his Elektra cover. Let's talk about HaHa. You want to talk about HaHa?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
I freaking love this book. So the artist in this one is Zoe Thorogood. Completely different style from the previous issue. More along the lines of what you would expect from an Ice Cream Man issue, I think. I really like this. And they take the idea of clowns to a different level. This is not about like an actual clown who works as a clown. It's about this woman who's kind of going a little mad, and she wears clown makeup, right? And this is her daughter. So she kidnaps her daughter, basically, or it's not kidnap her, but she's kind of losing, her mind, and her daughter runs away with her, and they're on their way to Funville, which is the park that was closed in the first issue, and blah, blah, blah. And she winds up having to do some things she doesn't want to do to make it on the road and make it to this dream of Funville. And then, of course, they get there, and it's kind of like a National Lampoon type thing, and Wally World is closed, and John Candy shows up, and it was a really nice, touching moment when John Candy showed up. Just kidding, that didn't happen. But I really liked this. When it was poignant, it had a lot of nuance. I thought it was elegant. It was completely different than the first issue, but it still felt like a W. Maxwell Prince book. This dude is a genius. Ice Cream Man, HaHa, King of Nowhere. He is such a freaking good writer. And the way, people can't seem to do one and done stories anymore. And this is what he's made his entire comic career on. I loved the art. I loved the story. I loved the twist at the end. I loved the way it wrapped up. I am down for a clown stripper, I guess. That seems neat. But I really, really like this book. And we just found out recently, too, that the last issue of this, 6, is going to be an Ice Cream Man crossover. So I'm very excited for that. But HaHa, another fantastic issue from W. Maxwell Prince and Company. And by the way, Chris O'Halloran is the colorist of HaHa. Chris is the colorist of Ice Cream Man as well. And so he provides that kind of sickly, sweet kind of coloring. And with the simpler line work that's done in here, it really felt more impactful to me than even the first issue.
Have you read this yet, Bueller?
Yeah, I read it. I thought it was good. I liked the first one better. I just enjoyed that character a little bit better. I thought that the whole scene when the little girl comes into the room, get off of mommy, you're hurting mommy. I thought that was interesting. I don't know. It was just definitely a little bit of Harley Quinn, aspect to this book. I thought, as far as like just the craziness and stuff, and kind of how it ends, and it kind of makes you wonder about the daughter, how is she going to be, in the coming years. But I mean, the one things about this, these are all just the one shots, and so I've kind of realized after the first one to not get as hooked to these characters because there's no more coming after this, because after the first issue, I was like, man, I really want to know about this dude, and stuff. And so I was really invested, and Robbie breaks my heart and he goes, oh, they're one shots. I'm like, God damn it, Robbie. So going into this, I kind of know ahead of time that this is it. I mean, don't get too connected to this character because this is all you're going to get, for, this girl. And that's how it is for all the issues. So I enjoyed it for the standalone story that it is, but, I thought the first one was better. And I would have liked if you were to give me the option between, hey, taking the issue 1 and expanding that story to a second issue, or getting this issue, I'd like to have the second issue be the expansion of the first character that we were introduced to.
I do like that there is connective tissue, though, like with the Funville thing. So I bet you'll see little bits. Now, obviously, they're not going to get back into it, but this is the same thing with Ice Cream Man. There's some great characters and stories that have been done in Ice Cream Man that could be fleshed out even more.
Sure.
And other writers would probably do that. And one of my favorite things about Prince's work right now is that he's just doing that. And that's how comics used to be. I mean, they followed the same character, obviously, but I don't know. I really like the idea that, like, even if someone's like, oh, I'm not caught up on Ice Cream Man or haha, I'm like, it doesn't matter. Just read this. Just read this one issue. If you like
remember last month, haha #1 was all of our picks for the month. I mean, it was all of us picked it. Everyone who was on the show picked that book. None of us picked number 2. So,
No, it was a great story. I loved reading it. It had all the elements of a Maxwell Prince book, like the same type of feel that you get from an Ice Cream Man book. It really, takes you to the brink of despair, and how he fleshes out the story. There's even more connective tissue to the Ice Cream Man books. I know there's the connective tissue to issue 1, but like the traffic jam is there because an ice cream truck had turned over. Down there, and then they talk about the little green goblin man that was naked, right? It takes you back to the Alzheimer's issue, and so so there's definitely more connective tissue there inside of the book. But I really enjoyed the way they fleshed out her psychotic break as she was going along. I loved when she got there. It wasn't Funville, it was Unville, as she's now undone. That was I thought that was a really cool moment.
It's heartbreaking, man.
It was immensely heartbreaking. And that understanding that at that particular point, everything that she had been working for was completely taken out from under her. And then, of course, that's when she says that, of course, after that, she was immediately arrested for the murder of that guy. And but for that girl to go through that and to come full circle in her life to where she's at now. And in the beginning of the book, she actually says, don't I make a great Harlequin? I thought it was really well done. His writing is masterful, and as a standalone story, it was really good. I agree with you, Bueller. I loved that first story. I would love to see more of that character, but that's not how Maxwell Prince writes. These are all standalone. He's kind of like our new Rod Serling. That's kind of the way I look at Maxwell Prince.
Yeah, you all look like balloons.
That was great, man. But I'm definitely enjoying haha, and I can't wait to see the next issue because it's going to be good. All right, so we are plodding right along. Mr. Robbie, what is our next book?
I just did haha.
Thank you. Sorry about that, my friend. I'm getting a little punchy, man. I've been working.
I can pick another one if you want, but
no. So my next book, I'm just going to go ahead and bring it out because I know Bueller's going to hate it, but
Kanto.
Kanto issue number 5, the end of the late Kanto 2 series, and the Hollow Men, and not that one, but yeah, that's a good try. You do actually have a Canto book. I love it. There it is, right there. And I think this issue. I mean, you know what I mean. I love every issue of it, but issue number 5, really, I love the way they tied it up. I love the way they set up where they're going in the future with this. There are some very heartfelt tie-ins to the first book. There's a really amazing tie-in to the actual Wizard of Oz when he says, "I'll take the heart," which was a fantastic scene. The artwork on that was incredible as well. But I think, Robbie, you said it best inside of your review that at the end of the book, there's a statement that's made about love and hope that is just so amazingly well done. And that's the type of thing that really drives me, to love the book as much as I do, is that on that particular, and it's a very simple story. I mean, it's not anything complex that they're writing or laying down, but they just have a way of touching the soul with that character. And I love it. I think issue number 5 was every bit as good as issue number 1. And I can't wait for the next one to come. It'll be here in April.
Yeah, it's good.
It's simple. It cuts right to the heart and soul of story, of storytelling, why we tell stories.
Exactly.
It's a book about love. It's a book about hope. It's a book about overcoming despair. And it's a book for everybody.
It
like
is.
any age could read this book. David Boer, who I know that you got a chat coming up with at some point soon, right?
Monday.
We was recently on Hero and the Kids Friday night show.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, I got to get him on the channel. He understands the nature and essence of story so well. It was really interesting too to find out that his biggest influence on this is Wizard of Oz, which is obvious, but that the artist Drew Zucker, it's Dante's Inferno, right? And like you see that, dude, it's dark. No book makes me like come to the verge of tears like freaking Canto. And I say verge of, I'm not a grown man sitting here crying, reading about these little tin men or whatever, but I am. It's a fantastic book. It's about friendship. It's about love. It's about hope. It's about community. They did a great job here of bridging, of setting up, making another statement that reflected what the first one was about, and then setting up the next like intermedial arc, and then going on to Canto 3. And I also like that they're doing that too, where they're like, they did Canto, then they did the one shot, then they did Canto 2. Now they got a 3-issue series, and then they got Canto 3. So
Right.
I'm really, really excited for the future of this book.
Absolutely. They've had a plan all along. I can't wait to see some of the other stuff that they're going to be unfurling here pretty soon. They got a lot of big news coming up, and I have a feeling it's going to be pretty powerful. So a lot of great stuff to come from those creators.
Yeah, I hear that there's going to be a Canto Spawn book.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that sounds good.
That would be amazing. I don't think so, but that would be amazing. But you're right. This book has a way of finding its way into your heart. It does. I have been moved to near tears a bunch of times. I think book number 3, there was a death in book 3, and the way they talked about how you deal with death, how you talk about death, and the things that we think we need to say, and the things that we do say are all part of that whole understanding of how we tell a story as well. I mean, literally broke my heart. And man, I am so excited to talk to both those guys on Monday. I got so many questions I want to ask them. And so I hope you guys tune in for it. It's going to be fun.
That sounds great.
Come on.
I love how this is like one of the only books that we both like just wholeheartedly love that Bueller just like couldn't care less about.
I recently just had a chance to read like the first issue. It was fantastic.
I love it.
One of my favorite reads of all time.
All right.
All right. I just want to say that we have 41 people in the chat. I want to thank you guys very much for showing up tonight and joining us. I know I haven't been looking at the chat too much. I get too involved in the conversation. But I really appreciate you all being here tonight. Of course, we couldn't do this without you guys, so thank you for being here with us. And so with that, I'm just going to take it over to Bueller. What's our next book, my friend?
Let's go ahead and jump into this Marvel stuff. And because we haven't talked about either Marvel or DC,
We haven't.
you know what? I kind of feel a little bit bad, but honestly, let's just be honest. The better stories are in the independent books right now. I mean, 90% of the stuff I read and look forward to are independent books, and the rest is Marvel and DC. And obviously, DC isn't really doing much for me lately because of the Future State. I skipped all those, so I haven't been reading anything really DC in the last couple months. But I'm going to bring up one of my favorites, and also you guys all know that's Bob's favorite as well. We have Daredevil, number 27. This is written by Chip Zdarsky, and this is part 2 of the, I guess you'd call it the tie-in to the King in Black storyline. And out of all the tie-ins for King in Black, obviously none of them are really necessary, to be totally honest. But I thought that this one has been the best as far as what Chip Zdarsky has been able to do with Elektra and her new, thing with being Daredevil and how she's, battling, what's that character she's going up against?
Typhoid Mary?
Yeah, Typhoid Mary. I thought that was really interesting. And I love the fact that Daredevil has been consumed by Null, but Daredevil is like able to fight him off. I mean, because of his faith, he's able to, find the light inside or whatnot and kind of fight off Null. I mean, who would think that Daredevil would be the one to be able to do it? But it does it in this book, and it's all inside of a prison, which I thought was pretty cool. And at the end of this book, Daredevil, like I said, he kind of, fends off Null or the Nullings or whatever they are that are trying to overtake him, and then he's out and he's good. He made it. So I think this is it. I don't think that they would do another tie-in for the King in Black. But like I said, I thought he handled it pretty well as far as having to do a tie-in with one of the more popular series from Marvel. I thought Chip Zdarsky did a good job, but I am looking forward to getting back to the regular Daredevil story with Daredevil and Elektra and seeing where that goes. But I thought it was pretty good. It's really, I'll be honest, my Marvel reads right now are literally Daredevil and maybe a little bit of King in Black. I mean, I'm a little over Thor right now, and I'm reading Venom just because I feel obligated to read Venom, but really, it's really hardly anything, to be honest. So I don't know, I'm just not too excited with Marvel books or DC books. Every month it gets a little less, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think the only other book by Marvel that I'm reading on a month-to-month basis right now is Strange Academy.
Yeah.
I think Scotty Young is doing some really great storytelling there. But Robbie, did you get a chance to read this latest Daredevil?
Yeah, I feel like the story I hate it when these tie-ins happen and you feel like it derails the ongoing story. But I thought that Chip did a good job of being able to integrate ideas from King in Black into Daredevil, but still keep his story going. And it was also perfectly timed with Elektra's first missions as the new Daredevil, right? And I am such a fan of Elektra. It's such a great character. In fact, I would love to go to a restaurant one day and order the Elektra nachos. That would be great. But I thought that they did a pretty good job, and I'm excited to see. The one thing I don't like about Daredevil right now is because they got basically two artists. You got Marco Cicchetto, and then you got Mike Hawthorne. And I think that it's just so different. And then when they do these issues where they're both doing artwork, it just throws me off with the artwork and the different styles or whatnot. The Hawthorne's artwork is a bit more stiff to me, but I thought that out of all of the King in Black tie-ins, it's not necessary, but it was probably one of the most well-done ones.
Have any of them been necessary? Have you read them all, Robbie? Have any of them you think necessary at all?
I don't think they're necessary, man. I actually stopped reading a bunch of them because they're just filler.
So just King in Black and Venom are really the only two you have to be reading right now.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way it's been. I agree. Absolutely loved issue 27 to a certain degree. Of course, I completely agree with what Robbie just said. It feels like the company is interjecting the whole event on this particular writer and the story he's already trying to tell, and he's got to figure out a way to incorporate that and still tell his story. And I think you're exactly right. Chip has done a phenomenal job. And I think what he's done is not try to move his story along so much as to take the dynamics that are going on inside of his story and use this King in Black to flesh out some things inside of Daredevil and Elektra, which I thought was really cool. We got to see for the first time Elektra, the tools that she's using are definitely Daredevil tools. She's got the wire coming out of her size, which I thought was really cool. But I think the strongest aspect of this book that really sung to my heart was how Matt was able to use his faith to basically tell Null, you're not just dealing with Matt Murdock, you're dealing with Daredevil. And that's when Null says, I'm a god. And he's like, you're no god, believe me.
Yeah.
I know who God is. And so in that aspect, I just loved seeing him use his faith because most of the time we always see him use his fists. And, that's the thing I think I've appreciated about Zdarsky's take on Daredevil through this run more than any other writer has done. He's really talked about his faith a lot. Even in the very beginning when he was going through the soul searching, he actually went to Reed Richards and talked to him about the existence of God. I thought that was I loved it. And then, to come back to that place where he cements his faith when we have the Battle of Hell's Kitchen. And, he uses basically scripture to start fighting in the street, to say, this is who I am. And then to come to this particular place where somebody who calls himself a god, he's using his faith to fight it. I just loved it. And so in that aspect, Chip using the opportunity that he's, has inside of his lap in such a way to still continue to flesh out the characters he's been given, but still have to write the King in Black storyline. Yeah, my hat's off to him because he did a phenomenal job.
And the way that he's using the thematic material of King in Black, more so than any other creator. King in Black is about light and dark, right? It's about the abyss and it's about hope, right? And you really find that out in one of the next books I'm sure we're about to be talking about. But the way Chip is able to take that, infuse it in with, Matt's, religion. And you're right. Most writers just use it and they're like, oh, he's Catholic, guilty Catholic, and it's a trope. Right. He's able to use it in a different way. And I thought that was really, really brilliant with the way it tied into the thematics of King in Black.
Absolutely. And then what he's doing with Daredevil, Elektra as Daredevil as well. This mission, she's basically got to face off against Typhoid Mary. Instead of just going straight for the fight, she opts to go save the girl and then come back. And she's truly trying to remain true to Matt's mission. And I don't think I've ever loved Elektra as much as I do right now. Originally, in the very beginning, and I've said this before, and I've gotten criticized for it. I don't care, but I really think that Frank Miller created the character just to kill her off.
Yeah.
And so I didn't appreciate the character as much as other people did in the beginning. But where she's been taken now, I've never loved Elektra so much in my life. So I'm digging this. Absolutely.
Great character.
Great character.
Really great.
Very cool. So, Mr. Robbie, what's our next book?
How about King in Black #4?
Let's go for it.
Spoilers, obviously, for some people that haven't read this, but I freaking love King in Black #4. I thought it was probably the strongest issue yet. I was talking about how King in Black is about light and dark, hope and the abyss, and it's actually more than that. That's what the entirety of the Venom run has been. Okay. First of all, Brian Stegman just killing it, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like the second coming of Todd McFarlane. It is freaking great stuff. You got some really cool moments throwing back to Donny Cates' Doctor Strange run. But what you get in here is the big thing, the big reveal of who this being of light is, right? And like we said, we're spoilers.
Captain Planet.
But the idea of how Captain Planet is tied in as a symbiote, I thought was really brilliant. And then when Dylan comes out with the heart ring and he's like, heart, I thought it was really cool. So I love all the Captain Planet stuff. And I told you, everybody, and we were like, oh man, the Donny Cates, Ryan Stegman Venom run is over. I'm like, no. They said they're done writing Venom. There's going to be a new book because at the end of this book, who becomes the new Captain Planet? And I know it's not Captain Planet, but who becomes the new Captain Planet? It's Eddie Brock. So I think their next book is Captain Planet starring Eddie Brock. No, it's Captain Universe. And I love the idea. And I love the moment where Reed's like, it's so obvious. It's always been a symbiote. And then he laughs and he's like, Captain Universe. So I like a good Reed scene, just so you know. But I freaking love this book. I think that it's tying that thematic material. Like it starts off Venom, the Kate's Venom run is about codependency. It's about depression. It's about despair, right? And then what symbolizes that more than the abyss, than the god of the void, which is Null. And then everything comes out. And at first I was kind of disappointed. I was like, is this all just going to be symbiote dragons? You know, like, is this all this is? And there's only one issue left of this series. And we know that Dylan, by the way, where's Dylan? Somebody check on Dylan. But King of Black #4 I thought was really cool. Kate's taking a legacy idea at Marvel, twisting it to his own means, his own way, and tying it in, and understanding a little bit of the nuance of the Captain Universe ability and what it can actually represent as compared to the symbiotes. And I thought it was a really great book. I thought it was the best one yet. It gets away from just the idea that it's just going to be Venom dragons, you know, like it's not going to be. I really feel like you got to look at this like the entire Venom run by Cates and Absolute Carnage and everything. This is just the last chapter of this bit, right? Like it's almost like you can't view King in Black as its own event, and it sucks that it's an event because this is literally just the next few issues of Venom. That I think it would read better that way. But this was really cool. Took me by surprise, and obviously comics were way late last week, so yeah, I read the spoilers before I actually read the book, but the impact of what happens towards the end of this book was still there, so I liked it.
Bueller, did you get a chance to read this?
Yeah, I've been reading it, and just so everyone knows, King in Black #5 got pushed back a few weeks, so it's pushing back some other books as well that would have to tie into it. So
it's because Cates lives in Texas, and so he wasn't able to like do work when they were lost powers. Yeah, he's in Austin or something like that. So
yeah.
Oh wow.
So it's going to be delayed a couple weeks, so we're going to have to wait a little while. I mean, it's a fun, the first issue grabbed me right away. I mean, that's why I really enjoyed it. The first one was just bam, they're right there at the battle. They're still going and stuff, and people are dying left and right and everything. And it really hasn't slowed down too much from that pace. I mean, I think, honestly, and I don't really say this a lot, but I think this would be better read as a trade to read the whole thing together because it's just one of those stories that just kind of like you don't want to wait for the next issue, really. You just want to kind of go and see what from the beginning to end. So as much as I've enjoyed this, I don't like the breaks in between. I think and now the last issue has a longer break. It's the only Marvel event I can think of in a while that I've really looked forward to. And so that's really important. I mean, Absolute Carnage was okay. Nobody liked the Empire stuff, and the X-Men one, I didn't get into that one or nothing like that. So, I like the fact that this is only 5 issues. It's not like a huge drawn out one. And like we said earlier, you don't need the tie-ins at all. They're just filler. Just stick with the main and Venom for that. But actually, you can get away with it without the Venom one, to be totally honest. But it's good to have that tied in. But I've enjoyed it. Like you said, the artwork is fantastic. There's tons of big splash pages in these books that are just like tremendous and stuff, And you kind of go back and forth between Dylan and everything and stuff. So it's good. It's one of the only Marvel books I'm enjoying reading every month. But honestly, I haven't bought this issue yet, and I'm kind of this is one of those books that I've been reading with my preview copies that I get, and then I'm just waiting until they're $1. The LCS, because the LCS is just ordering like so many of these.
There's so many,
and so there's going to be tons of them. So if anyone's thinking, for one, there was a little bit of spec buzz about this issue 4. There's no buzz, man. I mean, this is this mass produced book of the month, type thing. And it's no big deal. So it's a $1 book in about a month. So I'm waiting to get them all for $1.
I'm waiting.
I always love a good crack-a-doom.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I would definitely say that this has been the strongest issue so far in the King of Black storyline. I loved one of the things you guys didn't talk about that I really enjoyed was the voice that Dylan was hearing in the background. And then to have it fleshed out that it was Jean Grey. I love that panel that Stegman did. That was a great reveal. and you know, how they kind of banded together to use their power to start pushing back Null, and of course then he flexes after that. But I thought that the way it was set up was really, really well done. Had so much fun reading it. You know, Stegman's artwork, I absolutely love it, and I was showing it on my review video last night as much as I could. But there is a lot of really cool things inside of this book if you take it in slowly and immerse yourself. Very well done. So you guys got me at a disadvantage because I got a stack of DC books that I have not read. I've kind of stalled out on all of my future state reading in the last 2 weeks.
Me too.
And you're not even reading them, man.
I read the Swamp Thing.
Did you? Oh, yeah, that's right. Did Swamp Thing come out this month? Was that this month?
There's only 2 issues.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one I'll talk about then.
They're all swimming around doing swampy stuff.
That's right.
I figured it
phenomenal
was a good thing. You're like, it's a bunch of swampers.
They're all swamping around, you know, swamping this and got little birds hanging out of them and stuff, swamping around. Swamp stories.
I really enjoyed that issue. I thought that the way it was fleshed out, you know, from book 1 going into book 2, how the issue of elevating humanity above his own people that he created. I thought the way that was fleshed out was pretty dang amazing in the narrative of it. You know, that's the one that was done by Rom V, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really quick, brother Rod the Rican is in the house. How you doing, my friend? And he just gave us a super chat. Thank you very much, my friend. Station. Man, that's awesome. You guys are amazing, and always good to have Rod in the chat.
We're all getting chalupa boxes. Even Robbie.
You're going to mail it?
Yeah, it already comes in a box. We'll just put tape around it. You're good.
That my Thunderdome prize. You're just going to mail me a chalupa box?
Oh, yeah. That's in the mail.
Rod is one of my Daredevil brothers. Always appreciate him being here. But the Swamp Thing was the one written by Rom V, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I really love, because the narrative felt more like a story that you get from mythology than just a straight comic book story, because he's really telling the tale that has a moral to it, and how his guilt drove him to basically create those people, because he was responsible for wiping out humanity pretty much. And then humanity knowing that and wanting to get back at him. And then in the very end, him, using his body to reach up beyond the dark cloud that they were using to kill off all plant life and stretch out towards the sun, and then him become the very life source for the rest of the humans to be able to live. I thought that was phenomenal writing. And it felt more like a story that I would read in myth, and I really enjoyed it. I thought the artwork was great on it. I love some of even the minor characters that he fleshed out near the end. Great stuff. And it's been a couple of weeks since I read it, but that's pretty much what I remember about it, and I just remember enjoying it immensely.
He just sacrificed himself for all the humans, and all the humans are a bunch of jerks.
So
all the humans, and they're mean to him and stuff, and he's like, and then all the other swamp people are like, what's wrong with us, Swampy? And the swamp guy's like, I like the humans better, even though they're mean to us. And all the swampy people are like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And he's like, well, they can do more good than they know. I was like, that's a bunch of shit.
It's the potential.
Yeah, the potential. So anyway, the swampy guy, he's like, well, we'll just kill ourselves and give you places to live in the trees and stuff like that.
Well, didn't he kind of flesh out the fact that the humans actually have souls, while they do?
And they are all just bits of Swamp Thing. Right? Like they're all just bits. Like they spent so much time in these 2 issues explaining
Swampy's have souls.
But it's all Swamp soul. It's all the main Swamper's soul.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, so he was saying that it would be what he had was fake, right? He had created this illusion of a community. But humanity, I get it. I agree with Bueller. Like he should have just let the humans die and just left and just kept the world swamping around. you know,
Jumping
but-
around.
yeah.
Doing
But
swampy things.
What blows me away about this book is what Rom V and Mike Perkins are able to do in just 2 freaking issues.
2 issues. Yep.
And look at all the Future State books. Nobody was able to do an impactful story like this in 2 issues. And I am so ready for next week when we get Swamp Thing #1 from Rom V. By the way, also next week, Rom V is going to be on my channel. That's March 4th, Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time. So I hope everybody joins us because I'm freaking nervous. Because Rom V is like one of, to me, the pinnacle of what you can do as a writer in comic books right now. And he also has the best hair in the biz. Swamp Thing to me was by far the best Future State book.
Swampy.
Was it you that was telling me, I think last night we were talking, and you were saying that Dan Waters comes out of the same stable that Rom V comes out of?
Yeah, they're part of a studio together called White Noise. It's Rom V, Dan Waters, Ryan O'Sullivan, who does Fearscape and Dark Interlude, and Alex Packnadell, who's doing Giga right now. And he did Friendo. They all work together. Whoa!
Wow. Station Jesus. Thank you so much, my friend.
Y'all better send me a chalupa now.
Slap that duck, my friend.
I'm going to get it done. All right, there you go.
He says he wants to make chalupa night possible. I think you just made it possible, my friend. Oh, appreciate that very much. I'll do the Joker clap myself.
That means Bob's going to finally get a YouTube check.
There you go. That's it. That might have done it.
I think you may have hit the threshold.
The threshold. There you go.
Congratulations, Bob.
Hell yeah. That's a good feeling when you get the first hundy.
Come on, man. I really appreciate that, Jesus. Thank you so very much. And for everybody else who's given super chats tonight, really appreciate y'all. But yeah, when you were telling me that last night, that the White Noise Studio, every writer that you just mentioned, that's like I said it last night, that's like a murderer's row right there.
Yeah.
That's the Yankees bench right there. Boom.
Yeah, no kidding, right? And the cool thing is, we've had Alex on the show before. And Alex and Rom, Alex is coming back this year. Rom's next week, and Dan and Ryan have agreed to join us as well. They, like Alex said, that because they work together, they get to share their work, right? And so they really all help each other make the best possible product. And you feel it. Like everything they do is so freaking top notch. So they all right now have books at Vault. Rom's is about to start with a Radio Apocalypse, but Giga's going on. Dark. What's that?
It's going to be a great book, by the way.
Oh, I know, because it's written by Rom V.
That's right.
Yeah, who wrote my favorite book last year, which was called Blue and Green. If you've never read that, Bob, you really, really should, especially if you're a jazz fan.
I will definitely have to check it out. I think I remember you mentioning it, and I definitely, that one I can get in trade, I hope. Anyway,
I read the sequel.
It's only available in trade, so yeah, you can get it.
Oh, okay, cool.
If your shop doesn't have it, which that would be a weird stretch, you living in the mecca of comic shops, but if not, just let me know.
All right, sounds good. Appreciate it. So very, very cool. So Bueller, is there any other books that you want to talk about?
Yeah, is this going to be our last round? Because I know that Robbie probably has to wrap it up here in about 10 or 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm good for another 20, whatever you guys want to do.
Okay.
I can leave Joe Corallo waiting. I don't care. He's been on the show already before.
All right, sounds good. So this is another one of my picks. This came out last week. This is the Recount #2 by Scout Comics. And this is probably right now maybe my favorite or top 2 or 3 independent titles that are out right now. This book is basically about the president gets assassinated, okay, and then by a group of people, and the group of people who's going to assassinate anyone and everyone involved in the presidency, up to and including people who voted for the president. So I mean, that's how deep it goes. And this group is major, in the government. There's part of the Secret Service are in this group, so it's it's not just a small group of people. It's very large that are trying to eradicate everything that had anything to do with the president that they assassinated in the very first issue. And so in this one, they're after the electoral college people that elected him and stuff, and they pretty much assassinated all the ones that did that as well. And you can't really trust anyone. That's what I noticed in this book. I mean, there's the two cops that are kind of in charge of this right now, or the FBI and stuff, and they're kind of hesitant with each other as well, because I mean, they never know the person standing next to them, even though they're part of the FBI or stuff, doesn't mean that they're not part of this group, because you just don't know. So there's some suspense to that involved, and I like that quite a bit. And it's just a very gritty book. It's a obviously very violent book, but the writer, I got a chance to talk to him. He's a really nice guy, and he's doing some really good work, because the Recount #1, I think, was like one of the bestseller independent books for the month when it came out back in December. And then this one just came out this month, so it was a couple months in between. But I think #3 is back on pace, so it's a monthly book now again and stuff. But very awesome book. If you're not on this, go tell your comic shop to order the Recount. Not a lot of Scout books get ordered, or you can just go to Scout Comics and order off their website. But really cool, very great book.
That's a great cover.
Yeah,
that's a
they have
fantastic
a lot of really good covers for it as well.
Yeah, I haven't read Recount #2 yet, but I really liked issue #1. And you're right, Scout's doing some good work that not a lot of people are paying attention to. In fact, they just announced a new book called Chaos Agents by Dennis Camp, who's going to be on our show at the end of March. But Dennis Camp was the writer of Maxwell's Demons, which was the first Vault comic I ever read, and he's become quite a good friend of mine. So I'm really, really excited for that one. So get on right now, because like Scout is a great company. I deal with them directly. We buy most of our Scout books directly from Scout, not from Diamond, and we get them on time. Yeah. So I really, really like Scout and what they're doing. So Chaos Agents is one to pay attention to, and I'm really looking forward to Recount too. I haven't read it yet.
And you can get you can just get their monthly subscription box, and you get all their titles for the month. I mean, I've talked about that in the past. It's only like $35. I think my discount works on there. I'm not sure, but they just send you every book that comes out for the month, and you don't have to hunt them down. I mean, if you go to Robbie's shop, buy them at Robbie's shop, okay. But if you don't get all the Scout books, which my LCS doesn't get hardly any of the Scout books, to be totally honest, it's a really good way to get all the Scout books. So
yeah, you won't miss a single thing. And I think Bueller's code is Chalupa.
It's not Chalupa, it's Bueller.
What you're saying is it should be Chalupa.
Enter the code Chalupa.
Very cool. I haven't had a chance to read either one. I remember when you reviewed the first one last month, and I still need to get both copies, so I'm behind on that. I definitely, based on your review, I am definitely going to go and get it, because it sounds like a phenomenal book.
Yeah, and we showed that on the coffee video that Kingdom of Comics has the exclusive cover for #2. It's the Heat homage to the Heat movie, which is pretty cool. You can get on the website Kingdom of Comics. It's pretty. They're in Florida, and that's where this guy's based out of. And Scout Comics is in Florida and stuff. So
I thought you meant the Miami Heat at first, and I was like, oh, that's cool too.
No, the Val Kilmer one.
That's a great movie, man. Michael Mann film, one of the best heist crime movies out there. Just so you know.
I'm curious if anyone's read this in the chat. Let me know if you've read the Recount, if you liked it as much as I did. I get a lot of people ask me, "Oh, it's political and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with what's going on." It doesn't. He told me, it doesn't. It's just a story that he's had in his brain that he wanted to share. Not everything has to be related to what's going on in the world today. And my reference was, like Air Force One was just a movie about a president who's had hijacking on the airplane. It doesn't have anything to do with an actual what happened as the presidency. It's just a story that he wanted to tell, and it's a pretty fun, entertaining story. So
yeah, it's an interesting story. It's not moralizing though, based on one side or the other. It's not doing that at all.
No.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So I'm looking forward to that. Mr. Robbie.
Yeah.
What's the you want to talk about, bro?
So I had a book that it was my pick of the week last month. One of my picks of the week, and I had a lot of people be like, "Man, I'm really lost." And I had the fortunate ability to read both issues before it, issue 1 even came out. But this comes out, I think this week. It's this week, right?
It just came out yesterday.
Yeah, I read it a long time ago. But I Breathed a Body #2 is what really gets you to understand what this book is about. And basically, it's very simple. Here's the simplest pitch: I Breathed a Body is about a dude who is the #1 social media influencer, like the guy with the biggest IG page, the biggest YouTube account, all this kind of stuff. And there's this entire corporation that's built around him, right? And it shows you the behind the scenes works of what these corporate people are doing to maintain his popularity. Even though, like certain YouTubers we know, keep doing things that are very controversial. You know, like people don't like you just shoving your face with chalupas. I'm just kidding. We love it. We love it. Keep it coming, man. If you stopped the chalupa bit, dude, I'd be very disappointed. Anyway, the premise is this. What would happen if the world's biggest influencer did the most horrific thing possible? And what you find out at the end of the first issue is that he kills himself on screen. Okay? Now, what happens in issue 2 is it shows you the links that this corporate entity will go to continue making money off of this dude. They are literally dissecting him live on IG and shit. Like, this book is gross, Bueller, just so you know.
I know the first one, we all got the Brett Hess cover.
I know, right? I wish there was a Brett. The only thing that would make this better is if there was a Brett Hess cover on this one.
Yeah,
this book is for. I don't want to show anything here because I don't want to get Bob demonetized.
But I didn't go through the second one, but the first one I read that one. You're right, dude. It's a gross.
It is. It's the basic elevator pitch is Hellraiser meets The Social Network, and it's right there. Plus, there's this weird thing going on with like fungal horror. Like this book is so freaking cool. The way that Zach Thompson with this one and Lonely Receiver, it's a nice 1-2 punch in which he's basically telling us these modern horror stories about technology, our relationship to technology, and how that's affecting our relationships with other people and stuff. I Breathe the Body #2. That's the book. That's the book. If you were not sold on 1, read 2, and if you're not sold on 2, trust me, this ain't your book. But if you like Clive Barker, if you like really gross, gory horror stuff that has really like exceptional levels of subtext and commentary, check out I Breathe the Body.
You know, I see a lot of people in the chat talking about books that they weren't able to find, and I don't know if everyone's aware, but Robbie is a manager at a comic shop, and he, you know, if you ever need a book, I think Robbie could probably, you know, if he's got them, he could take care of you. So
I would dare to say that we're one of the biggest supporters of independent comics in the nation.
There you go. So if you're missing out on some of these books, probably might be able to get it for you and ship it out, and obviously shipping and stuff like that. But he's a good resource for anyone who's looking for these books. I mean, there's tons of people in there. Somebody just said they paid $10 for the Secret Doctor one or whatever that one was.
We got it on the shelf right now.
Exactly. So
cover price.
Hit up Rock and Robbie.
And use the code PCP Bueller Army Chalupa. And we'll give you a discount.
Yeah,
there you go.
The shop is called The Deep Comics. So you can find us on Facebook. You can message us on Facebook, Deep Comics and Games, DEEP, Deep, because we go deep. Get it? Not really. That's not what it's about. But and also our email is thedeepcomics@yahoo.com, and we can do anything for you.
There you go. It's a good resource. Use them.
So I have I Breathe the Body issue #2. Haven't had a chance to read it yet. I tried to read it at lunch, but immediately after reading the first half a page, I could tell it wasn't going to be a quick read. I needed to be intellectually engaged in the moment, and so because I wasn't absorbing anything, so I'll go back and read it later. But
it's also pretty gross. I hope you weren't eating spaghetti.
No. But it's also a very, very cerebral read too at the same time. So I'm definitely going to. I love the pitching, so I'm looking forward to getting into it.
Another thing is if you are wanting to pay attention to good comic book lettering and what separates it, Hassan Otsman El How is the letterer of this book. He has a YouTube channel. It's one of the best YouTube channels out there about analyzing what makes a comic book work, the technique. It's called Strip Panel Naked. Fantastic. He's also the guy that does it's a digital magazine each month called, what's it called? Panel by Panel. And it's like 100-page plus thing where they usually pick like one book and they just kind of focus on it. And it's like incredibly brilliant. If you want to learn more about the craft of comics, check out Hassan's work because he's also one of the greatest letterers. And if you notice, he's using this technique. He's always trying to do different things where he's like highlighting words for emphasis. Do you see that?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Instead of using like bold italics or something, he's actually highlighting the words, which is interesting. So
very cool.
I thought somebody marked in my book.
Look at that. Look at that. That's some 9-panel grids for you. I'm going to keep it back here so we don't get demonetized for Bob.
But. That's awesome stuff. All right, so I got time for one more book before we quit here and wrap it all up. And I'm kind of torn between these two books. Not sure if I'm going to go this one. So, Two Moons or Maniac in New York. I think I'm going to go Maniac in New York. This book was incredible. Another one by Aftershock, cardstock cover.
They had a good month. They had a really good month.
Really good month. And man, I got to tell you, I just really, really enjoyed where they went with this. First of all, the coloring inside of this has its own tone and feel. It's kind of like when those sickly green and yellow filters are on in a good zombie movie. Mood lighting, that type of thing, and how they fleshed out the story of Jason Voorhees inside of this particular story without actually naming him and using that whole trope from Friday the 13th to bring that type of killer to a metropolitan, not a rural place, but a metropolitan city like New York. And I loved the whole setup on this thing. So instead of having a map and showing where you have different deaths by a serial killer on the screen, they have these pins up there, and they're like 47 deaths happen there, and 112 deaths happen there, and this guy just killing one person at a time. This is multiple of this guy's killing sprees, which I thought was an interesting concept. And then you have the two main characters, which are both women. One is kind of disenchanted with being a police officer and doesn't have any hope of actually catching this particular killer, but is on board because it's been laid in her lap. And then the person that they put her with, which is from the government, who has all this hope and trying to make her career on the thing. And the relationship that's starting to form between them is very subtle, very well done. And I really enjoyed, the writing on this. It was written by Elliot Callan and the art by Andrea Muti. And I enjoyed this so much more than I was expecting to. And man, Maniac in New York. What'd you guys think?
I liked it. I was really looking forward to it when I heard about it. And then I think we talked about it on the coffee video a little bit a couple weeks ago when it came out. I think it was one we reviewed and stuff. But you can't. It's basically Friday the 13th. In the big city is what it is. And what's better than that? I guess. Wasn't it Jason Goes to New York or whatever it was?
Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah,
Part 8.
So it's pretty cool.
Part 8 from 1989.
Yeah, I liked it.
I loved it. They basically takes the premise like, okay, so Jason, this really happened. There is no Jason Goes to Hell. Okay. And so it's like
Jason X.
He took Manhattan. Well, here's the thing. My boss at work said this, the guy who owns the shop, he said, if this series doesn't end with them like freezing him cryogenically and putting him in like a pod like that, I'll be severely disappointed.
Yeah.
It is straight up Jason Voorhees. If Jason Goes to Hell never happened, and that's for the better, let's be honest. Okay. And he's just been out there. And at this point, like the cops, they treat it like a joke. They're just kind of like how they are with the Punisher sometimes, where they're like, we're not going to stop him. He's killing all the criminals, right? Well, obviously he's not killing criminals. He's killing like crazy people. He's killing like crazy amounts of people. And, but they can't catch him. He's just this random dude. He's totally Jason Voorhees. The way they handle it, the way they have left it in New York, which is a big homage, I think, to Jason Takes Manhattan. Which is a stupid, fun movie. So great. The boxing scene where he knocks the dude's head off on the roof is like one of my favorite Jason kills. So I really, really liked it. The artwork is by Andrea Muti. He was the artist of Fearscape with Ryan O'Sullivan and Dark Interlude, which is the sequel that's going on right now for that. He also did the Vlad Dracul book from Scout Comics, which was just beautiful. He colors his own work. It's got that beautiful like watercolor type thing to it. It's very ethereal. And then the way the book ends with him on that subway, I'm like, I'm ready for the slaughter in part 2, yo. I love it. If you're a fan of the slasher film, you need to read this book. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Really enjoyed it. Another book that I had to choose between the two, but I'd really love to hear later on, your guys' view on the book, The Two Moons, which I also got to read today, which I thought was really well done.
I haven't read that one yet, so.
Yeah, I read it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think I mentioned, I was like, oh, it's like that guy turns into like a like a werewolf and stuff. And then I realized the title of the book was Two Moons. And so I went, okay, that makes sense.
Does he turn into two werewolves?
We shall find out. But this has been awesome. I always love getting together with you guys. You know, I mean, hey, hopefully maybe we'll get Dylan on the next month.
He wasn't on with us? I can't remember.
Yeah.
He told us to just go ahead and start, by the way, guys.
Yeah.
There we go. But, you know, again, always any chance to be able to hang out with you guys. I really appreciate it. I could talk comics for hours, but of course we have other things that we have to do. I got things I got to do tonight. Robbie's got another show. Robbie, why don't you tell us about your channel and what you got coming up tonight?
In 8 minutes, I'm going to be live. Me and Brian are inviting Joe Corallo. He's the author of She Said Destroy, co-writer of Seeds of Eden from TKO, which is a really great short. He's got a new book coming out called Beck Star from Mad Cave Studios. I'm very excited to chat with him tonight. That's in literally like 8 minutes. That's super cool. Tomorrow is PCP movie night. We're talking about The Meteor Man, one of the best, most underrated superhero movies of all time. Dylan's horror show, since he's not here, that's going to be Saturday night at 9:05 p.m. Central Time. We're going to be talking about the work of Adam Green. So that's exciting. And real quick, want to run down real quick. Last Ronin #2, if you're a Turtles fan, will make you cry.
Yeah.
Hollow Heart is haunting and emotional. This is the best issue of The Scumbag yet. Madman. That's all I'm going to say.
I knew that was coming eventually. So Robbie is he runs Pop Culture Philosophers. Go give his channel a look. Go straight over there right after this ends, and go check out the show tonight. He always puts out great content. Friend of the show, Rockin' Robbie. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Station,
my friend. Bueller, man, my partner in crime. Let us know what you got going on your channel.
Nothing until Monday through the coffee video. I was really upset because Xbox Live was down today, so I haven't been able to play video games. So that kind of sucks. But real quick, I want to show you a few more books real fast. Luna #1 came out this past month. If you like drugs, if you like sex, you're going to like this book. I did enjoy Crossover 4. I thought it was enjoyable. If you're a fan of Donny Cates' previous writing for God Country, you're going to like it. And, of course, Devil's Dominion finally came out from Black Box Comics. Awesome book. I know that Robbie got a chance to read it. I know Bob did as well. The artwork in here is tremendous. I think #2 just came out as well. I think it's mail. But
I was disappointed in the lack of demon sex in this issue.
Yeah, there wasn't enough demon sex. But you know what? There's enough. If you there's some. There you go. You can read that one.
Wait, see, I like drugs and sex too, and I just didn't dig on that one. But that's cool.
Yeah. But you know what? Honestly, February was a wonderful month for comics. I mean, there was a tremendous amount of really good titles that came out. I mean, maybe it was the fact that they were all delayed and they all came out at once. We're just sitting there reading quality title after. I mean, I have a whole nother stack of books we didn't even get to that I read that were all really good. So February, awesome. This year is off to a really great start. Only thing else I can think of is Shino Cage. That's another one, or Kaji, whatever it is. Bob likes that one. So
yeah, I do actually. That's another one by Black Box Comics, and I'm really into it. And not just because I love the whole samurai thing, but I think they got a great premise. And I got issue 2 that just came out, so I can't wait to read it.
There you go.
It's good stuff. I don't have any other books to show because I wasn't prepared for tonight, but I do want to say thank you guys very much for coming and hanging out. Thank you to everybody who joined us in the chat tonight. I know I wasn't able to acknowledge everybody because we were really into the conversation, but I thank you guys so much for being here and for supporting the channel. Thank you for everybody who left super chats. You guys are amazing. Love you.
Who's got next month? Who's got next month real quick?
Next month should
be Dylan.
Should be Dylan, yeah.
Well, let's be real. Who's got next month?
Either me or you then.
All right. Whoever it is, join us next month, right?
Yeah.
There you go. I do have a couple things going on Everything Comics. Of course, I just dropped my random review video last night, which felt good to put some content out. I'll have this week's reviews coming out over the weekend. And then, of course, Monday morning, 5 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the brand new Coffee and Comic Show where I join my buddy Bueller, and we'll be talking about a great subject this week, which is what is a key?
That's what we're talking about?
Yeah.
All right.
looking forward to that. And then on Monday night, join me on the channel, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm going to have Drew Zucker and David Booher on the channel, the creators of Kanto. I cannot wait to interview them. And then also I'm looking forward to Robbie's channel this week and his interview with Rom V. It's going to be amazing. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. You guys are amazing. Remember to support your local comic shop, and Excelsior, folks. Take care. Station.